Hey guys, this is Junior here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So, this takes place 3 years after the previous movie, which I believe was just Jurassic World. So we see this undersea team try to set up this excavation where they're trying to dig up some T-Rex bones, and they start to send it up. These other teams are setting up something, but suddenly the sea device that they were using is caught and vanishes. And the guy who's trying to help them gets chased by a T-Rex. The T-Rex grabs onto the ladder when the guy tries to call over to the helicopter, which sends the ladder down. And he grabs on, and they cut off the ladder just beneath him. But then a water creature dives up and takes the ladder guy out. So we see that we get a cameo appearance after that from Malcolm from the original Jurassic Park, who says that, the extinction of the dinosaurs is what is best, and that they should just be left to their own devices on that island that they were on, because apparently there is an active volcano there, and it will inevitably erupt and take out the dinosaurs that were in Jurassic World. But then we cut to this dino protection program where we meet Claire, who used to run Jurassic World, and now is in charge of, or is one of the main characters in charge of this dinosaur protection program. So, indeed, she talks to one of the other people who want to, she's trying to talk to one of the original founders of the program. So she eventually meets up with Mr. Lockwood, who comes to show them their little sanctuary. So, the other person that is with them is this man named Eli, who's just moving the dinosaurs to a new location. And to get Owen, who was the dinosaur trainer in the previous movie, to help them. So she goes to Owen and gets him to help. Well, he says no at first, but then watches some video clips of Blue, our little dinosaur pal from the previous movie as well. And he does watch that footage, which does show that he wants to do the mission anyways. So we cut to our secondary plot where we follow this little girl named Macy. And we will learn about more of her later, because it cuts back to our main team, Claire and Owen, who are joined in by this massive hunting team who are using trank guns to subdue the dinosaurs. So the team comes across their first dinosaur. It's a plant-based dinosaur, and they just let it roam about. So Owen sets off with, and I apologize if I wrote this in my notes, but I just called her the Glasses Girl. I never caught her name in the entire movie, to be honest. She was a bit of a badass, but I still never caught her actual name. I caught the other guy's name, the Glasses Boy. I think they called him Brooklyn, so I'll just call him. That's what I called him in my notes, so that's what I'll call him. And I'll call Glasses Girl just for short, GG Girl or G Girl. So, anyways, the main hunter takes down Blue when they get access to him. And the double cross is pretty quick, and they force G-Girl to take care of Blue, and meanwhile, Claire and Brooklyn get locked inside the building, and Owen gets tranked too, and while that's going on, the volcano erupts. So he almost gets burned alive, but his body is able to move his body enough to get out of that situation. So we cut back to Brooklyn, who's in the building, and the facility opens up, and one of the dinosaurs makes it in, and he tries to escape with Claire, and they do manage to do that. So Owen runs with them, or runs from a dino stampede. Meanwhile, Claire and Brooklyn get inside the sphere ball, I would call it, and start moving while Owen kind of runs behind them. And this creature and this other dinosaur and a T-Rex start fighting each other. The T-Rex takes out, showing its dominance as usual. And then the ball makes it to the edge of the island, and then goes into the water and starts sinking, but Owen manages to save them. Hold on, just give me a second to find my way at where I was in my notes. Yes, okay. So, one of the, afterwards, they start to spy on, the hunters when they get to a spot, and, they eventually will get on. But, first we have to cut over to, Eli, who, and, other potential, things going on here, and Maisie spying on him, who he's, talking about wanting to sell the dinosaurs to this cell business guy. And they talk about the beginning of the Indoraptor, which is this raptor which can take commands, more advanced than Blue itself, apparently. They don't say that, but that's kind of what they were implying. So Maisie goes on her little adventure to this restricted area, and she starts to see more about Blue's growth as a creature, as it sort of, we see it in her youth, her growing up and taking care of Owen there. So we see Henry, the lead scientist from the previous movies, try to explain that they do need Blue in good health in order to make this Indoraptor, I guess, grow up better. But Eli eventually does see Maisie snooping about and decides to lock her up. So Brooklyn gets roped in by the other scientists to do what they say for a bit. Meanwhile, Eli takes out Maisie's grandpa in order to clear up that aspect of it. So Owen and Claire get stopped before they can get out of their situation and get locked up as well. But Maisie starts working on her escape, making her way along the roof. She makes it to her grandpa and takes out this notebook and moves along and eventually makes it across to another area. So we cut back to Claire, who talks about the first, well, they're still captured, the first time how they seen a dinosaur and what that meant to her. And while that's going on, we cut to the auction, that's currently taking place. All the businessmen made their way to Eli. I'll just refer to it now as Eli's house because I would assume he would be the next owner of that building, considering the situation, because they moved all the dinosaurs in there. But Claire and Owen run into Macy, so our A plot runs into our B plot, and she decides to join them. That is only after they escaped via this rhyming type dinosaur, and it helps them a bit more as they let it out into the stage and it rushes out and starts attacking. Owen starts attacking them as well, and the main hunter shoots down the Indoraptor, but the Indoraptor tricks him into thinking it was knocked out and then takes him out once and for all. So the movie takes a bizarre turn in all of its stuff going on, and we see that Maisie was actually made. It's a weird thing for Jurassic World to take into account, is they cloned a human girl. And I don't know how that plays into the end of the movie or the beginning of the movie. It just seems so odd and out of place. It seems like the most out of place thing in this entire movie is just that one factoid is that she was made. I don't know. Something about that threw me off for a loop. But anyways, Brooklyn manages to save G-Girl because she was still locked up for a certain amount of time. They both let Blue go together, and Blue sort of just goes off. So Owen, Claire, and Maisie run from the Indoraptor, which gets out of its cage, obviously, because the hunter left the door open, or the cage open, I should say. And Blue comes in and starts attacking it, and a fight breaks out. Owen and Maisie make their way to the roof. Claire gets to them somehow, knowing their location. Convenience of the movie. And she also manages to get her hands on the very same gun that the demonstration was using with the laser gun, which causes the Indoraptor to attack more ferociously than it would normally. So that's how they are able to trick the Indoraptor to chase after Owen on the other side of this glass roof. It almost falls, but it picks itself up, and they think that it's gonna actually make it, but Blue comes out of nowhere and takes it all the way down and kills it. So, yes, after Blue jumps on it and kills it, they make their way into the room, and Owen, Claire, the four of them, and Brooklyn and G-Girl all are in this room. They all see that the dinosaurs are suffering because this gas was released and it was going to kill them. And Claire was about to press this button to release them into the open, but she actually decides not to do that. She decides to just wait and watch it all go down. That is until they move the camera to show that it was actually the little girl, Maisie, who releases the dinosaurs out into the open. And then we see the T-Rex eat Eli as he's trying to run and hide. And all the dinosaurs start to spread out into the open world. And then we cut to some monologue from our Malcolm, who goes on about how the world was going to change regardless. It was going to get to this point regardless. And we see, as that is going on, dinosaurs roaming different parts of the world. main group kind of riding along and them seeing just some of them, the dinosaurs flying about, the flying dinosaurs flying about, and we hear the words how it's become a Jurassic World, which is where the title comes from. And the last little shot we see is Blue off on her own, just calling out to whatever, I don't know, and that is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This movie definitely took a very Planet of the Apes approach of where Jurassic World is now going. Dinosaurs have now spread out into the world. That is how the movie ends. So this is the second in this sort of reiteration of where Jurassic World is going. I do think that direction was only natural, and I do think that is probably that's how you would escalate Jurassic Park into Jurassic World. Now Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom opens it up to now the dinosaurs are just everywhere. Again, very Planet of the Apes style kind of movie. So the progression makes sense to me, so I do feel like this movie was a little, it felt like it belonged in the Jurassic Park franchise. The progression of where it's going seemed kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. Again, there were some conveniences near the ending of the movie that kind of come out of nowhere. Claire kind of coming out of nowhere. Blue also coming out of nowhere to save them. And the whole B plot with Maisie being cloned, I still don't know what that has to do with anything, quite frankly. I don't know why they decided to do that. Maybe they'll touch up on that in the third movie, try to explain why they would do that. I still don't know. For a moment, there was a brief moment in this movie where I thought that either because the whole cloning thing, I thought she was like gonna communicate with Blue or something. I don't know, like I thought that's what was gonna happen. Maybe that will be like the antithesis of the third movie, where we see that they can like somehow communicate. I don't know. It does seem a bit silly, but then again, they created an Indoraptor, and they already, that was just an adaptation of Blue, and that's already something that could take commands from humans, so the whole aspect of it being Maisie who can communicate with the dinosaurs doesn't seem as far-fetched considering where they were going with the dinosaurs. So, a human that can communicate with dinosaurs, and it's Maisie that's the only one that can do that. And she was the one that freed all of them in the first place. So, in a weird sort of way, she's sort of the bad guy at the end of the movie. I mean, if you follow, because look, at the, Jurassic World, right? At, the beginning of that movie, Claire was sort of the bad guy because she was the one running the park. She was the one doing the big mistake. And they even mention that in this movie, that, Eli kind of brings that up. And I actually do enjoy that I actually did enjoy that scene. That was probably my favorite scene when Eli is like, look, you're not that different from me. You were running that park. You were, profiting off of these people looking at all these dinosaurs. How are you different from me? Your hero, your protagonist, and your antagonist having that very similar, connection. It does make the movie more interesting when that stuff sort of pops up. So, this movie kind of sets up the possibility that, you kind of had your main bad guy, Claire, kind of become the good guy. And here, in the second movie, at the end of the movie, it kind of ends up seeming like, because of how the movie ends, it kind of seems like Maisie is actually a bigger antagonist than Eli himself. because she's the one that lets all the dinosaurs out. And that's what's causing all the problems around the world now, is all the dinosaurs being let loose. So, it's going to be another case of, and they can bring that up again, like, whoever the obvious antagonist of the third movie is going to be, if there is going to be a third movie, which I would assume there would be, but, have them bring up the whole thing with, like, Maisie was the one that let them all out in the first place, and, stuff like that can obviously be brought into the forefront of Jurassic World, whatever it's going to be called. That is, if they do decide to continue this franchise in that way. But as for this movie, I did enjoy it, even with its kind of lackluster, kind of convenient-based ending. I would still give it a 7 out of 10. I did enjoy it. We're following characters who are kind of already established at this point. Owen was already kind of established in the first movie. They kept things pretty simplified, and they kept the whole relationship thing still kind of weird. Actually, I probably would give it a 6 out of 10. Just because some of the characterization is as weak as it was in the previous film. But other than that, it's still a pretty enjoyable film. So, 6 out of 10, still not that bad. Still in the upper area of scoring, all things considered. And that's my review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out that link in the description or head over to my Patreon page, and any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.